All right, guys, coming to you from the shop today, and I am excited about the new lineup of the Rev 3.0 chassis. The Revolution chassis really got a cool spot in my heart because that was the very first rendition of a production chassis that we were ever going to do. Build something that was kind of the same time after time and give a builder program for guys at home to get a chassis and build them out. I love sticking with the name because actually Stan from Brannick Machine is the guy that come up with it, and everybody that's in the industry and knows Stan knows that that's just a really cool dude, so that's got a cool backstory to it. Not many people know. Stan raced on one of these chassis a lot, but furthermore, we've had the Revolution, then we had the Rev 2.0 that we updated some stuff on. Now we've got the Rev 3.0. And what we've done is we've fixed a lot of the issues that we found over the years. Things like leg room. The Rev 2.0s, if they weren't built just perfect and with the exact drivetrain combo that you really needed to have, you'd run out of leg room pretty quick in that chassis. We want this to be a pretty universal platform, so we stretched that area out a little bit. Wheelbases seem to be getting a little bit longer, so we stretched out what that wheelbase was going to be, and now we're kind of building off a platform. And don't worry about leg room and headroom and these things right here. We took care of a lot of those changes. With the redesign of the chassis, we came in and we spent a lot of time planning these builds out now to where we've got bigger radiators that go in the chassis. We're actually moved to a front-mounted radiator in all chassis if that's what you wanted to do. Before, we could only run a bigger radiator in the rear of that Rev 2.0. In the 3.0, we can run a big radiator in the front, and it buys you so much storage room in the back. If you want to run the rear mounted radiator, hey, we can do that too if that's just your preference. But things like dashes, sheet metal, seat mounts, steering column mounts, shock mounts, link mounts, everything that it kind of takes to build these buggies, we have come in, designed, and that's what we're going to talk about more through this video. You can see we've got everything over here from a raw 4-seat chassis. Here we've got a 2-seat chassis with some sheet metal and some other things, down to a fully fabricated out rolling chassis. This thing is really, really close to being torn down for paint and powder coat. We're doing that as a turnkey rig, but we don't mind at all building it to this stage if it's what you want. We do everything from a bare chassis to a turnkey rig. Any stage in between, as long as they build off each other, we'll do as much or as little as you want. Now we're able to actually provide parts and kits for you do-it-yourself guys to where you can take our stuff and add onto your chassis. And we've got the parts to where they're affordable because we don't have much labor in them. You can put them on at home, and it makes your build process go so much easier. And that's what we've worked really hard to do with the design time and everything else that we've put into this deal. So furthermore in the video, we're just going to start digging into each chassis and looking at it kind of as the stages progress. Starting off with this 4-seat chassis, and this one actually has the shock mount tube work installed. The reason we don't install that into every chassis is because some guys, they have their own shock package that they want to work around. So they don't have to buy the shock package and then cut it out. That's the reason it's an add-on to the chassis. From the website, you'll be able to order the chassis with this already welded in if you want to go with our route, or you can actually order this as raw tubing, bent up and pre-notched that you can install yourself. So even if you are running that custom setup and you want to work off the package that we've got, you can kind of go from there. This one has the option of doors. Link mounts are added to the chassis. And then this one has the option of LS Turbo 400 mounts for a drivetrain setup. Other than that, that's it. That's as far as we're going with this thing. This thing's going to hit a pallet and ship out. We do a lot of these chassis and really enjoy coming to this stage, sending it home and seeing what the end user does. Now, where we've kind of been lacking in the previous is from this point on, we didn't have a lot of stuff that we didn't have to build solely in-house to be able to sell you to go onto your chassis, and that comes from like an interior kit or something else. And then we'll move into this next buggy and try to show you around some of these items that you'll be able to kind of buy from us on the fly, if you will, and get them shipped to you, and continue your build at home. Next, you're going to get into these chassis right here. Like this thing right here is really awesome. You're going to be able to buy a chassis on the website now and actually option in putting skins on it before it ever leaves wide open design. And you can do that from day one of buying it. Or if you want to buy the skin kit and have it sent home with you, it will. This edge will not come rolled on the chassis. Everybody sees that edge and they think that you got to have a lot of metalworking skills to be able to do that. I'm actually going to make a video that shows how to roll this edge around this, starting with a flat piece of metal. These are built, we don't have any other way besides this tube on this chassis to fit the metal as we're going. We use the tube as actually like the backing part of it, of doing that. Now we're able to offer what I consider to be a custom dash for a chassis. Dashes have always been one of the things we've always poured a lot of time and pride into. We do some really nice custom one-off pieces, and everybody wants to know, can I buy that dash for my buggy? Can I buy that dash for my buggy? And I've answered that question a million times, it seems like, online, and the answer was always no, because we didn't have a way to really build a dash without the buggy here. The way we were doing it and everything else. We've changed the process, and now we finally have what I consider to be a good looking, custom looking dash that fits our chassis. And for that matter of fact, it'll fit any chassis that's 55 inches wide, outside of tube, or wider, with a straight dash bar, because it mounts off the dash bar. So we'll be able to offer this thing up to guys. And I really am excited because it's the first time we've ever been able to give something that's not just a piece of tube with some sheet metal welded up behind it. You know, just a simple flat plate style dash. This thing is sheet metal, it's got brakes in it, it's got removable panels, it's got some billet trim pieces that really make it unique and one of a kind. Same thing with the console. We're able to offer that console at this point in time. So everything in a Revolution chassis from the B-pillar forward on all of the Rev 3.0 models is the same. From the back of the B-pillar, you've got a couple of different options. You've got a Rev 2.0 short, you've got a Rev 2.0 long, two-seater models. The long two-seater model comes with a higher rear frame rail to where you can run trailing arms and everything else on the back, set up that way. The short two-seater is going to be offered with a high or a low rear section, depending on how much storage you want. And then you have the four-seater like we've looked at before. And over here, the two-seat long and the four-seater are the same length from the B-pillar to the back of the buggy. It's about 10 inches longer than the short. So whichever way really matches up with your riding style and where you wheel is depending on what chassis you'll want. Some guys are, you know, they want every bit of tightness they can get out of a buggy to get down into small holes and a really tight rock crawling and stuff like that. They're going to want the short chassis. The guys that are out there and they're trail wheeling and, you know, they've got enough, but they want to have plenty of room for a cooler and a toolbox and some other stuff and enough fuel and everything else, they're going to want the longer version. We're building fuel cells that absolutely fit the chassis now with mounts and everything else. You'll be able to go right online, pick and say, hey, I want a fuel cell that fits that Rev 3.0 with the right frame rails, and it's going to end up shipped to your door. So really cool package here. Now we'll step right on over here and look at this all the way fabbed out and look at all the options that this thing has. And then we've got this thing. This thing right here is absolutely pretty much 100% fully fabbed out, ready to be tore down, full welded, and go through paint and powder coat. And actually, there won't be any painted pieces on this buggy. It'll be all powder coated. The dash is in perfect enough fabrication state to go through. You can just send it to powder coat and have it powder coated. The hood will be fitted and be able to be powder coated. But this thing, you can see we've got, it's a LT engine, Turbo 400 Atlas. We have mounts for that. We've got mounts for the LS Turbo 400 and an Atlas. Got a new radiator set up and designed, put in this thing with mounts for it. We've got a winch mount for this thing, and this thing you can run the really big wide Xeon wrench. You can run the VR series, which is Warren's economical, line now. You can run the old M8000s. Whatever winch you've got pretty much in the wide drum platform will work. If you want to run the RC9, we do have to change the part number on the winch plate, but we'll offer that as well. The front of the chassis, we laced up a lot of the tube work. We're actually able, if this customer wanted to run bypasses, we're able to put a bypass in here running all of the same tube work that it takes to run a single shock. So adding a couple of tabs to the chassis to add bypasses into it, that's always been a real big thing for us. We've always just had to reconfigure everything if a guy wanted to add bypasses throughout the build. Seat mounts, we've got some additional tube work that goes in to work off your seat mounts. We're offering that now. This thing actually has some of the options that go with the console. The dash, if you're running a rugged radio and a Holly screen, that's what that dash is actually built around, like what's in this one. We're selling all of that stuff now. We got a dealership with Holly. You can order all that kit straight from us. Rugged radio, we actually have a package that takes all the confusion out of what should a radio package be for a buggy. We've got a 2-seat and a 4-seat. That's the two options we've got. And we've handpicked all of the mounts, the radios, the quick connects, antennas, the whole 9 yards to what we use in our buggies every time, and it works awesome, but it's way less confusing than going to the site and actually trying to cherry pick each individual thing, because honestly, it just gets confusing. Call us, we got it, put it right in the buggy, and it's one-stop shop type deal. Back seat, we've got all the full interior. So talking about interiors, from the 2-seat version, we've got a firewall that goes all the way across the back, and it's fully sheet metal down underneath the seats and all the way to the front firewall. Now, if you've got a 4-seat, that sheet metal comes in, the back firewall goes out, and we build the back tub throughout here. All that stuff, laser cut, broke, sent to you. If you want to put it in yourself, or if you want to have us put it in before the chassis ever leaves here, it's a really good option right now. Sway bars, fuel cell that fits the 4-seat chassis. We've got this back deck right here. It looks really cool with all the dimple dyed holes. The dimple dies actually hold just a little ratchet strap, and you're able to come in, tie stuff to that if that's what you're wanting to do. Really sleek lines, known for the flowing lines of the rolled tube in the body line, and we set the precedence for that a long time ago, and we've stuck with it. We never wanted to build chassis that we felt like were ugly, just to say that we could build them quicker. So we really stuck to the body lines, and man, at the end of the day, I'll kind of always stick to our guns. We're just going to change our process to where we figure out how to build what we want to build, and do it accurately enough to where we can build these parts and send to you guys. So there's also other options, battery mounts, tilt steering columns we've got in these things, everything else. It's just the whole deal. So if you're interested in it, head to the website, check it out. We've laid it out really neat to where you can buy just a bare chassis. Then you're going to have an option to where you can buy a bare chassis with the options that we can install here without getting into a full build detailed out list where you actually have to call us in and get a quote. We're happy to do that, but a lot of guys like just going online, looking to see what something would cost. So you're going to be able to buy this chassis. You're going to be able to buy it with drivetrain mounts as long as you're running an LS or an LT Chevrolet engine, turbo 400, and an Atlas 2-speed case. If you want to do single shocks, we're going to mount the tube work in there. If you want to run bypasses, we'll have the tube work option on there that we can add to it. Skid plates, we're going to have that option to where you can add that skid plate tube work underneath the engine. All the sheet metal that you wanted to do, and that. Now, if you want to go further than that, you're actually going to have to call in and get a quote for us to build you a roller. No problem. Email or call. We'll be happy to quote it and get you took care of and get that bounced back and forth, and kind of, if you've got a different engine you're wanting to run, call us and ask about it. That's where that phone call happens. Now, After the build has kind of been put on a pallet, sent to you, you want to buy a fuel cell and stick in there with it, call us. Go to the website, look at the options. Whenever you pick that 4-seat chassis, we're going to have a full list of all the options that we build products for listed out on the website. Fuel cells, steering column kits, battery mounts, dashes, interior pieces. Pick what you're looking at and you'll be able to know what it's going to cost to get shipped to you. That's where we're going to go with that. So at any point in time, we're always going to have the bracket, then the part that goes with the bracket. That's the other thing. We've done this before to where we didn't really have this radiator goes in this buggy every time. So now whenever you go onto our website and you buy the bracket for the chassis, you're going to be able to buy the radiator that we've designed to fit right there in there with it. Same thing, if you want to buy the console mount, man, buy the shifter right there with it that goes with it. You can put your shifter in there to it and that's no big deal. If you want to buy a tilt steering column, it'll have the brackets that put that tilt steering column into a Rev 3.0. There's a lot of different things that we're going to really do with the website of making this. You can buy it all at once. You can buy it piece by piece. You handle your project at the time frame and the budget that you want to handle it at. So what we're really kind of proud about doing is putting this to where a lot more people can get on board with what we're doing. Now, Rev 3.0, that's the first one that we've started out with and really poured all this effort into going back and designing, like a total redesign of the whole thing, front to back. It's pretty much done now. Next thing on the list, the rocket ship chassis. That thing's a full rundown of what it is. Guys have been out racing them. We're building a few of them in the trail rigs right now. It's going to be a really cool deal. It's going to just take out our rock bouncer chassis. Next phase of that is the rocket ship. Then we've got some other stuff that we're coming out with. Our Jeep chassis, all that line has been re-looked at as far as design work has went. And if it needed help on it, we've got it, we put it in place, and you'll be seeing it on the website really soon. That is the CJYJ, TJ, LJ, now the 4-door JK, headed that way. Then we've got a few more buggy chassis that we want to come out with that fit different needs, and those will be talked about whenever they're actually done and here. But moving forward, we've got a great team around here. We got some really cool tools and we're cranking out some really clean work. Man, I can't be more proud of where we're at right now and where we're going. So you guys give this thing a check out, look at it online, look at all the options. If there's any questions, pick up the phone, email us, we'll hit you back, try to get you taken care of, and we want to see you in one of these things before too long.